welcome you all with my love and respects. Today, Kal Bhairava will do the Akashic readings on the subject death. Death is liberation and celebration. It is a natural conscious digestion process, gift given to every individual soul tormented by the ignorance that they are separated from the whole, constantly reminding them anything which separates them, including the concepts, is impermanent. Anything which makes them feel as departed part of the whole is impermanent. To make every individual soul understand that the concept of your individuality is imagination and impermanent, death is given as a natural boon to the whole universe. Here, Mahadeva reads out the signs of death for the seekers and for the people who want to cross the death. Death is of 7 types experienced by human beings. First, the man who feels he is nothing more than a body. He experiences oblivion as death. He feels end of his identity is death. End of his individual existence is death, which is obviously false. Illusion, delusion, which brings tremendous suffering, and the suffering constantly tortures him and does not let him live even while he is having the body. Next, the person who is completely centered on desires. He has a greed and cannot understand the possibility for a breakthrough. So he continuously extends his greed even after he leaves the body. All the concepts exist in all half-baked philosophies and religious concepts. The concepts of heaven, an extended life where the desires are fulfilled, where the continuum of the desires exist, is extended delusion of desire-based individual identity setup. This is neither completely false nor permanent existence, based on the ability to project their desires into the existential space. They create their own heaven. As long as they are disillusioned, they continue to project their heaven and live. When they are disillusioned by their own projection, then they get back to their original source and decide the next course of their action based on the imaginations and delusions they retained after the disillusionment. Every disillusionment boils down the extended imaginations to the root delusion. If the root delusions themselves are boiled, burnt away, the imagination completely goes away. You are liberated from the imagination. If the root delusions are not burnt or boiled, you project your root delusions into different levels of imagination. Usually, the desire imagination expansion, when it is disillusioned, boils down to the root imagination. It projects again itself in the next root of guilt. The expansion, the imaginary projection of the guilt is only considered as the lower levels of hell. Again, neither the hell is completely truth, nor the heaven is a completely truth. And same way, neither of them is complete false, nor of them is complete reality. Please understand this great truth Mahadeva repeats for every one of you to grasp insight. The reality you are facing now, what do you call as Bhuloka? The very less intense projection of your delusion is Bhuloka, and little higher projection of your extended greed is Swargaloka, the heaven, and guilt is little higher projection of your deluded, disturbed mental setup, patterns of root greed in different direction. The guilt is lower level hells, where you repent for your sins. Sin is nothing but retaining the root patterns of desire even after you are disillusioned by the projections of those same roots. When the fruits and the crops disillusion you, still you hang on, expecting the different root or crops to come out of the same seed, is guilt. Guilt projects into the next level of hell, which is again neither truth nor false. It is again your ability and the intensity to project decides the quality and quantity of the time you need to spend in the hell. Once you are disillusioned, even your sufferings are not real. You enter into the root pattern which goes to the deeper root than the ordinary experience of hell. The deeper root is pain. The ultimate hells you experience In this space, again, your death decides the quality and the quantity of the sufferings you are continuously going to experience. Understand? Every levels of death teaches you the great lessons if you are ready to hear. Every life, every year, practically every day, every one of you go through all the 7 deaths. The 4th death, death from the pain. Even the pain is also a projected delusion from the root pattern. It does not exist and it cannot coexist with the existence of the cosmic soul, as the cosmic soul's presence is felt every day by your individual soul in the deep sleep and the restful awareness. The pain pattern also faces the death. When the pain patterns faces the death, the experience the individual soul goes through is depression. Depression is not even the existence of pain. When you don't even project your pain, when you are not even capable of projecting your pain on the reality, the comparative reality, the constant torture you do to yourself with the seed is depression. Seed which cannot grow but continues to exist as a living seed is depression. The death from the depression is the 6th death, called dark night of the soul. Every soul goes through this dark night during the sleep in the form of a unrememberable nightmare every day. Morning, when you come out of the nightmare and can't remember the scenes but only can experience the feeling of the nightmare, it is dark night of the soul. Dark night of the soul is the near-death experience for so many individuals. All the individuals who record the near-death experience as being pulled into the cave and pushed out with a tremendous pain is near-death experience, which is nothing but the dark night of the soul in the long term. When the dark night of the soul happens every night, it is called nightmare. When the nightmare happens once in a life, it is called near-death experience. Understand the great truths of the death. Even by listening to these great truths again and again and again, you are liberated from these great truths. These great truths should be heard by the children before they are spoiled and wronged by the human society with immature ideas. These words should be repeated as mantras. So whenever you repeat a word again and again and again, not only the linguistic understanding happens, this forms the phonetic basis of your very thinking. When the great truths forms a phonetic basis for your thinking, it is called living enlightenment. So the 7th death, the 7th form of the death, which is beyond the dark night of the soul, happens as Nibbana, Nirvana, extinction of the individual deluded identity. The extinction of the individual deluded identity is the ultimate death, which is liberation and celebration. What you feel as your identity is your identity centered on the body, then oblivion is the obvious truth about your death. If your individual identity is centered on desire, guilt, pain, resurrection is the obvious truth about your death. If your individual identity is capable of going through the depression and dark night of the soul, reincarnation is the truth about your death. If your individual identity is prepared while in the body itself to go through even the depression and the dark night of the soul, unable to exist without the help of the body and mind, enlightenment, liberation and celebration is the truth of your death. So the death has 4 different meanings to the 4 different levels of people. If you remember yourself constantly as the body, oblivion is the reality for you. If you remember yourself as the extended desire, inexhaustible guilt, unbearable pain, resurrection will be your expected truth about death. If you are able to enter into the depression and the dark night of the soul, reincarnation is the possibility of your soul about death. If you can stand all these experiences while you are carrying the physical body, unable to stand the ability to be without the physical body and mind through the unclutching, enlightenment is the equal word for your death. Enlightenment, when it enters into your system in the form of death, it is liberation and celebration. So death does not happen to all individuals equally. It is based on the standard of the individual. Death happens. Whether oblivion is your truth, resurrection is your truth, or reincarnation is your truth, or enlightenment is your truth, is your decision. It is the individual capability and individual's responsibility. When the quality of life increases day by day, the quality of death also increases. A man who feels connected to the truth of oblivion, naturally, obviously centered just on body, will not have completion, the complete feeling of life. The people who are in the middle level feel connected to the resurrection truth, the resurrection concept. That is why the mass feels very comfortable with the concept of resurrection. Very evolved individual, very few individuals feel the truth of reality of reincarnation. It is only very few enter into the experience of enlightenment. There are 27 more files on death to be revealed and read out by Kalabhairava. So for next 27 days, Kalabhairava will read out the sacred secrets of death and informations world need to know about death. And Kalabhairava will now answer and respond to every question related to sacred secrets of life. So be very clear. The words of Mahadeva, which is coming out now, not only as linguistic value, philosophical value, conceptual value, truths based on which your cognizance should be function. It has phonetic value also, should be repeated like a Vedic mantras, chanted repeatedly, so that constantly your cognizance is centered on these great words, truths, and constantly your mind is based on these great words. Next.
The first question is from Jayalakshmi Bernard from Washington DC. Nityanandam, another birth question for Akashic reading. It seems like with the Samyamas, we are here to transcend the body. Don't eat or drink, don't sleep, don't think about sex, don't be bothered about heat, cold, pleasant or unpleasant, etc. Why take a body if we are here to transcend it? Thank you.
Transcending is step for liberation. You took the body out of ignorance and delusion. Now the samyama is the step to go beyond the depression and delusion. So understand, samyama is like medication. It is the solution for the problem which you created by feeling that you have the body. You are asking a wrong question. Why to have disease at all when we can take medicine and get out of the disease? There is no answer if you ask why to have disease first, then have medicine and get out of the disease. Because you already fell into the disease, medication is given to you. Because you already fell into the delusion of having a body, the samyama is given to you as medication.
The next question is from Diana Bello from Las Vegas, USA. Nityanandam Swamiji, I have seen thousands of babies come into the world as it was my job in the labor and delivery room. Each baby comes into the world in a different way, some so sweet and peaceful and some so unpeaceful and stressful. I often wondered how their entrance into the world affects the rest of their lives, what they become in life and how they react in life. Birth is the most beautiful miracle of life. Is the birth process going to change in the future, more peaceful? Are the attitudes of doctors going to change towards more peaceful birth? Deepest gratitude.
Time, place, way, mood, awareness of your birth directly affects the way you are going to live. So, the future humanity should become conscious for the truth. Birth is the greatest miracle, and possibly the conscious birth centers, the welcoming, mood-filled welcome centers for the human beings should be established. It is unfortunate human beings never understood the importance of the first moment of a being landing on the planet Earth. Let conscious beings receive the beings consciously into the planet Earth. This is the command of Mahadeva. Mahadeva blesses all the people who are having Nayana Diksha now to be healed from all the wounds and sufferings you carry from the moment of the birth. all the wounds and the sufferings, deep patterns you are carrying due to the wrong birthing style, time, place, persons, way. Let all that be completely healed in all of you. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Let your Manipuragas be healed completely. Let the healed Manipuraga be filled with a pure Kundalini energy.
The next question is from Nitin Geetam. Hari Om Swamiji, how to live a deathless life in this birth? Is it possible? Where is the soul residing in our body? What will be our next birth?
Soul does not reside in your body. It only reflects on your body. The place you choose for your soul to reflect decides the level of awareness in which you are going to be living. If you choose Mooladhara as the place for your soul to reflect, you will be centered only on body and the lust and reproduction. You will not find anything else as bigger experience. Human beings choose usually Mooladhara and Swadhisthana as regular place of reflection. Very few peace lovers make Manipuraga as the reflection spot. When you choose Anahata as a reflection spot, you become a devotee. When you feel and decide Vishuddhi as a reflection spot of the cosmic soul into your individual body, you become Shakta, an high achiever with a Shakti. When you choose your Agnya as the reflective place, the place of reflection for your soul, you live with extraordinary powers as a Siddha Purusha, the embodiment of Shiva. When you reflect your cosmic soul into your individual body on Sahasrara, you live as incarnation, embodiment of the cosmic soul, Mahadeva himself. Mahadeva resides and expresses unique, pure, spiritual dimension in your body. So the body is not possessing the soul. Soul only reflects on the body. When it decides not to reflect anymore. The body is considered as dead. When Sahasrara becomes the place of reflection, suddenly a new center develops in your system, which is responsible for the Sahasrara to relate, cooperate, coordinate with the lower level of existence also. That new center is Anandagandha. So, when you experience the reflection on Anandagandha, you directly receive the incarnation's energy, radiate the incarnation's energy, you became part of the incarnation. As you asked in the question, is the life without death is possible? Is the deathless life is possible? Mahadeva very clearly tells you all it is possible. He gives you the signs, which is most sacred secret, 7 instructions. Do not eat anything other than these 3 items: goat milk, groundnut, aritaki, and continuously be doing ajapa japa. Let your breathing be completely guided by the ajapa japa. You can choose any mantra initiated by your enlightened Guru. Ajapa japa, this 3 foot, and constantly unclutching. Every night getting into the death meditation, death process. Visualize, face all the death. Do not allow any samskara uncompleted. Death process is nothing but completion of all the samskaras. When you do death process every night, completion of all the samskaras happen. Understand, every instruction when they are imbibed and practice deathless life is possible. The first instruction, do not eat anything else other than these 3: goat milk, groundnut, aritaki. Second, do ajapa japa. Let your breathing be guided continuously by ajapa japa. Third, every night complete all the samskaras and patterns you built by entering into the death process. Fourth, continuously, whenever you remember, unclutch, unclutch, unclutch. Reduce the time of unawareness and restlessness. Practice the presence of restful awareness. Next, remember these great truths about life and let all the cognizance about life be taken based on this one understanding about life and death. The life and death are not 2 different things. It is just continuous process happening in you as a natural force. Ultimately and finally, remember the realization this body is not away, apart from your cosmic soul. It is also an inclusive part of your eternally existing cosmic soul. These 7 truths can directly make you live deathless life. Deathless life is possible.
The next question is from Tyagarajan. Nityananda, what should one do to be born in a spiritually conducive atmosphere?
It is in your hands. This moment you can make your life in such a way, rearrange and reorganize your life can be in a place which is spiritually conducive. When you can do, why are you expecting some remote roundabout methods to do it? After some time, the question you are asking is nothing but the outcome of postponing lazy mentality.
The next question is from Joyce. How many lives on an average do humans need to experience before they are completely liberated from all physical suffering?
There is no number. It depends on the intensity of the individual.
The next question is from Ma Manorama from Vancouver. Nityanandam Swamiji, beloved master, how does the whole in vitro fertilization affect the resulting being after birth? Since the conception will happen in a petri dish, will this affect the future person's connection to the infinite or the cosmos? Thank you.
No, this does not affect any way the possibility of the individual's infinite connection. This process was being followed for ages in the Vedic civilization. The Kauravas have been given birth only through this process. So, this process no way affects the individual's possibility to achieve enlightenment.
The next question is from Ma Aruna. Nityanandam, dear Swamiji, kindly throw light on the concept of birth, death and rebirth of souls till they attain liberation. I am thoroughly confused about this imperceivable game of the Lord, His patience, His monitoring system of each soul's progress till the attainment of the highest in as many janmas it takes, and is the number of janmas one soul takes predetermined?
There is no individual Lord monitoring. Each independent intelligence has innate tendency and the inspiration to grow from life to death, death to life, life to death, death to life, till it is completely disillusioned with the original delusion. It is separate from the whole. When the disillusionment, it is separate from the whole, itself has disappeared. When the individual soul is disillusioned from this very word, it gets back to its restful awareness. It is not the game played by somebody else and you are pushed into it to play. It is you are playing with yourself, by your individual will. Any moment you can just realize you are the center person of this game. You are the judge of this game. You are the umpire of this game, and get out of the game. Nobody is playing it. You are the umpire, you are the player, you are the audience, you are everything. Wake up to this reality and get out of this game. If you want, continue to play this game if you want in the form of incarnation. The person who got out is Videha Mukta. Person who is continuing to play with the clear intelligence, he himself is enjoying himself, is living enlightened. Person who enters into others' game also and makes others realize they are playing the game and they are the embodiment of everything. They are the audience, umpire, player and everything is incarnation.
The next question is from Rukmani from Chennai. Nityanandam, Namaskarams to Swamiji. How does the birth from space to power on women, for instance, the birth of Karna, happen? What is the energy source of power that makes it happen?
Space is not empty as you think. The space is more strong, thicker existence than your body. Water is thicker existence than the earth. Fire is thicker existence than water. Air is thicker existence than fire. Space is thickest existence than water, fire, earth and air. Thought is more thicker existence than the space itself. Because they are thicker than the other, they are able to consume one another. Because fire is thicker than the water and earth, it can consume both. Because air is thicker than the fire, it can consume that. Because space is thicker than all other four, it can consume all the four. Thought is more subtle and thicker, powerful than all the five. So thought can consume everything. If you can sit and center your thought and concentrate, you will see directly all the five elements can melt and play as you want. So space is not emptiness as you visualize through your bare naked eyes. It can be a channel. That is why the beings like Karna assumed the body using that channel.
The next question is from Jyoti. Dear Swamiji, it is said that people at one time were not born like how they now do through human parents. Could you please speak on this and whether it can happen again? Thank you.
Taking birth for human parents is only one form of birth. The possibility exists in multiple levels. You can take birth on a stone. The baby can be processed in an animal womb, in the tree, in the stone, on anything. As on now, human beings widely use only few methods. Taking birth out of human womb and some other modern methods, but millions of methods existed to take birth.
The next question is from Roshan from San Jose. Dear Kala Bhairava, at the time before the part begins to think, it is separate from source. It is same as the source. Then isn't it basically the source separating itself from itself, since the part only comes into existence after separation?
The moment the thought raises, part is a part. As a truth, it never separates, and in the normal comparative existence, the part appears first as part only, decides to have the thought of separation, whole does not decide. what decides becomes part. That is why the word part, decides to feel as part, is the right expression in the language in which you understand. When Kalabhairava, Mahadeva, reads out the truths, he reads out in the language you understand. There are many existential reality based truths can never be read out in the language you understand. So when he reads out in the language you understand, that is the best form of expressing possible.
The next question is from Sri Nitya Atma Manisha Nanda. Dear Kalabhairava, only source exists. There is nothing other than source exists. Then what makes the source to become individual consciousness and why? That is what is the birth. I only existed after that event. Prior to this, I was not there. I know it is impossible for anything else, including I, to be other than the source. Then why I, the individual consciousness, is persisting? One source has become individual consciousness. What makes greed, fear, lust, desires to pop up in the individual consciousness? O beloved Mahadeva, please clear these doubts.
Atma Manisha, already your doubts are cleared. All the answers I gave has clarified your doubt. Mahadeva has already read out the sacred secrets about this question and doubt. Whatever Mahadeva read out, listen to that intensely. These doubts and questions will disappear. Mahadeva has answered this question.
The next question is from Dr. Shanti from Bangalore. Nityanandam, beloved Swamiji, Shashtanga Namaskars at your divine lotus feet. Can you please let us all know why majority women go through so much pain, anxiety and stress during birthing process? Through these are most beautiful, cherishing and fulfilling moments in their life. In few fortunate women who practiced meditation, yoga, power of visualization, listening to music and divine chanting, birthing has been a great joyful experience with minimal pain and stress. Can you please clarify?
Human beings have the tendency to go through the pain and suffering even during the expansion. That is why even when the wealth comes to human beings which they were seeking with their whole life, the responsibility brings suffering and pain to them to maintain the wealth. Same way, when expansion of life happens in the form of birthing, giving birth to a child, the responsibility body is not able to take. That is why it goes through pain, suffering and torture. Otherwise, the birthing experience is a spiritual experience. The great possibility of expansion happens to an individual when it expands into another own life. The moment of birthing can be used for the enlightenment of both individuals who is giving birth and who is getting birth. So, every moment the child takes birth. The child has a possibility for enlightenment, mother has a possibility for enlightenment. If both of them take the responsibility, both can get enlightened. Even if the child is not capable of taking the responsibility, mother can take the responsibility and she can get enlightened. Birthing is great possibility of enlightenment, as it is extension and expansion process of individual body and consciousness. when the birthing happens, if the child is kept without the umbilical cord being cut for at least few minutes, then the mother can experience two souls. The moment child comes out, the individual soul enters. Mother has one individual soul, the child has another one individual soul. The umbilical cord connection exists between two souls. Mother taking up the responsibility of birthing and preparing her consciousness for 9 months, and while giving the birth, she can achieve enlightenment. And after the birthing happens, without cutting the umbilical cord, if you remain, keep the child as it is, the individual soul which enters the child's body will have the initiation from the enlightened mother through the umbilical cord, which is the most powerful connection. The umbilical cord initiation directly makes the child experience enlightenment, and enlightened biomemory basis forms the basic experience of the child. When the enlightened biomemory forms the basis of a child, naturally child will grow as Jivan Mukta, living enlightened.
The next question is from Induja and Sindhuja from Chennai. Nityanandam Swamiji, can you please tell us about twins' birth? Why two souls are born together? Is there any specific reason for it? And do the souls have the same purpose in life?
There is no such thing as two souls born together. Only two bodies are created together, and the possibility for the two souls enter is created. Otherwise, the twins, even if they are born physically connected, has no spiritual connection. Even if the connection felt by few twins is psychological.
The next question is from Bodhana. Nityanandam, dear Kala Bhairava, does the body need to be left undisturbed for a period of time after death? If so, how long? In the Tibetan Book of Death, it sounds as if some souls take a while to move on. If we wish the highest possible evolution for the soul, can body organs and the body be given over immediately to science upon the verdict of brain dead, or should the body be left undisturbed for a period of time?
If the body is left undisturbed, the remaining karmas will be transferred to the new body in next 13 days. But if you give the organs, part of the body, to any research or science for any purpose, that does not interfere the karma shifting process. Even if those organs are living in other body or being separated from your body and used for some other purpose, the karma baggage shifting process does not get disturbed. So, the organ donation do not interfere any way your death process. The moment brain death is declared, the parts of the body can be donated. It does not interfere in the karma baggage transferring process. When a death happens, the individual reflection takes the next body within 3 kshana. The karma baggage gets transferred in 13 days.
She is also asking if we have taken NSP, do the practices from the Tibetan Book of Death need to be invoked? How do we know if someone is enlightened upon death and therefore should be buried and not cremated as
Stop. The conscious experience which you receive from the program NSP by Nityananda gives you a complete possibility of innate intelligence which awakens by itself through the experience of death. So what you understand by the Tibetan Book of Dead need not be invoked, as this process in a complete, comprehensive, conscious way is already inserted, programmed in your system by the conscious experience in the NSP. Next question.
How do we know if someone is enlightened upon death and therefore should be buried and not cremated, as Kalabhairava stated on Akashic readings?
Both eyeballs will naturally move towards the third eye. If the both eyeballs have moved towards the third eye and they are centered towards the third eye, is enlightened being, and face does not carry any visible stress, again is an enlightened being. And the throat will not become stiff. If you put your finger on the throat, you can feel still it is alive, is living. An enlightened being's throat does not become stiff, frozen, cold, or like wood even after he leaves the body. So these few symptoms will make you understand this person, whether he became enlightened before leaving the body. This can be used as a scale to decide whether the body should be buried or cremated.
The next question is from Shrikant Gopi. Dear Kalabhairava, how can we grow younger each year? How can we achieve eternity physically and merge with light while in physical body?
I'll give you the signs used by Tirungnana Sambandar and the great saint like Vallalar and Sant Jnaneshwar. Every night complete all the engrams you build, all the samskaras you build should be completed by going through the death process every night before falling asleep. Every night, if you go through the death process and complete and fall asleep, there will not be any remaining engrams, samskaras, which is responsible for getting old. The time will not act on you. The bridge through which time acts on you, time enters into your consciousness, is samskaras. Engrams is the bridge through which time enters you. If you break the bridge, time will not be able to enter in your inner space. You will be free from time. The person who is free from time grows younger, younger, younger due to his experience to live untouched by time and samskaras. This is the only and best way to grow younger and disappear into the pure light consciousness, the cosmic soul, without leaving the remains of the physical body.
He is also asking, Is it possible to achieve this Siddhi through the 2012 transition? I would like to transcend death and live for another 200 years. Please advise.
It is possible through this technique. You don't even need to worry about this 2012. Do it and have it.
The next question is from Anne Mary Kasu. Swamiji said at satsang that after 65, body and mind were useless. Then what is the use of living longer? Why doesn't life end there?
The bodies and minds unused, unprepared will not be useful after 65. If you prepare it from the young age, use properly, it will continue to be useful. You never reach the state of 65.
She is also saying, I am over 65 and I feel quite alive and enthusiastic. It is very hard for me to accept as my greatest fear is being unwanted. Is seva useless after 65, no matter how many hours and how much pleasure and enthusiasm is fed into it? Is our life purpose over, whether accomplished or not?
This is individual question. Bring it in evening Kala Bhairava Darshan.
The next question is from Vidya Ramasamy from Singapore. Nityanandam, dear Swamiji, what is the role of doctors in disease and death?
Doctors are also groping in unconsciousness. So when the unconsciousness is playing with unconsciousness, nobody has a clear role in disease or death.
In the process of making a decision on withdrawal of medical care for a child, is it right to say that the child makes conscious decision to get liberated and merge with the cosmic consciousness and therefore attracts that kind of supportive energy from parents and doctors?
No. Never. The possible supports available should be withdrawn from any soul. Mahadeva does not approve the compassion killing, mercy killing, or any form of withdrawal of the support. Every individual body should be given all possible support till the end, even though you may perceive this as a suffering, pain, or torture. No mercy killing is accepted in cosmic law. All the people who are involved in mercy killing will be treated as murderers by the cosmic law. And the individual soul which was killed by the mercy killing will be treated as a suicide or murder. If the individual gives the consent, he will be treated as a suicide. If he does not give the consent, it will be treated as murder in the cosmic law.